Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yasoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yasoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yasoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yasoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yasoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yasoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivakachara Tarasishimad His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Vishnu Pad Paramhansa Virabhakatara Sarasi Smad Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Gokishore Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Sad Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Sri Sri Gaur-Nitaya ki jai. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Go Premananda Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All together, please. Om Agana Timarandasya Ganandana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrijatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Prijanasetam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padang Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karana Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapcha Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavanishwari Vrishabhana Sudadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavad-Gita, translation and commentary, Srila Prabhupada. Kya hai? Number 20, chapter 1333, correct? 1333. Okay. So, one second. That's it. So, 1333. So there's 35 verses in this chapter. So Krishna's now summing up everything. So, 33. Please repeat. Yathā sarva-gatam. Wait a minute. Saukṣmyād. ākāśaṁ. nopalipyate. sarvatrāvasthito dehe. tathātmā nopalipyate. yathā sarva-gataṁ saukṣmyād. ākāśaṁ nopalipyate. sarvatrāvasthito dehe. ātmā nopalipyate. Okay, go ahead.
Yathā sarva-gataṁ saukṣmyād. ākāśaṁ nopalipyate. sarvatrāvasthito dehe. tathātmā nopalipyate.
ātmā nopalipyate.
Yathā sarva-gataṁ saukṣmyād. ākāśaṁ nopalipyate. Adhidāvidhidobhite.
tathātmā nopalipyate, ākāśaṁ sarvatra, ākāśam nopalipyate, sarvatrāvasthito varieties, upalipyate,
yathā sarva-gataṁ saukṣmyād,
ākāśaṁ nopalipyate, sarvatrāvasthito, ākāśaṁ nopalipyate,
yathā sarva-gataṁ saukṣmyād,
ākāśaṁ nopalipyate,
sarvatrāvasthito,
dehe.
tathātmā nopalipyate.
Okay, so word for word, please repeat. Yathā, as, sarva-gatam, all-pervading, saukṣmyāt, due to being subtle, ākāśaṁ, the sky, never, upalipyate, mixes, sarvatra, everywhere, avasthitaḥ, situated, dehe, in the body, tathā, so, ātmā, the self, never, upalipyate, mixes. Translation, Srila Prabhupada. The sky, due to its subtle nature, when it says sky, that means the ether. You see, in the word for word, it says ākāśam. So this is actually not the sky in the blue thing up above. It means the ether, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all-pervading. Similarly, the soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body, though situated in that body. Please repeat. The sky, the ether, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all-pervading. Similarly, the soul, situated in Brahman vision, does not mix with the body, though situated in that body. Purport, Srila Prabhupada. The air enters into water, mud, stool, and whatever else is there. Still, it does not mix with anything. Similarly, the living entity, even though situated in varieties of bodies, is aloof from them due to his subtle nature. Therefore, it is impossible to see with the material eyes how the living entity is in contact with this body and how he is out of it after the destruction of the body. No one in science can ascertain this. So, short purport. Mukam karochi vācālam pangam laite girim yat kripa tamaham vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam yathā sarva-gatam saukṣmyād ākāśam nopalipyate sarvatrāvasthito dehe ātmā nopalipyate. So, the sky, due to its subtle nature, or the ether, as we say, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all-pervading. Similarly, the soul, situated in Brahman vision, does not mix with the body, though situated in that body. Yes. So, the Ākāśam, we know that, right? You're all experienced devotees. The Ākāśam is the most subtle of the 5 Mahabhutas, the 5 gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So that is the most subtle. And of course, it's interesting, Prabhupada mentioned the scientists. A few hundred years ago, everyone accepted the existence of the ether. But here we have a scientific person. But nowadays, I think it started with Einstein, correct? They started to dismiss the ether as... Excuse me?
It was earlier than that.
Yeah. Was it? Well, there was a discussion at that point.
Yeah.
Whether the ether exists or not. So Prabhupada makes that point, that the ether is very subtle, and just like the ether is not seen now by the gross material scientists, so the soul is even more subtle, right? We know that Kesava Satabargasya, that it is, if you took the tip of a piece of hair, you cut it into 100 pieces, took one piece, cut that into 100 pieces. Prabhupada many times said this, right? That would be like 100 times 100, that would be like 10,000 the size of the tip of a hair. That would be the soul. And then the soul is emanating consciousness, and that is even more subtle than any of the gross material elements or even the subtle elements. So the soul is, you see that, upalipyate. It doesn't mix. Just like the ether, Krishna is saying, doesn't mix with different elements, even though it's all-pervading. So similarly, the consciousness in this body emanating from the soul does not mix with the body. It's a very interesting point. But Krishna says, similarly, the soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body. So the soul that has attained Brahmanishta, Prabhupada would often quote one Upanishad verse. What is the qualification of a guru? And he would say, Srotriyam. And Prabhupada would explain that as meaning the people who have realized the Vedic conclusion. They are Shrotriya. The Vedas are often called the Shruti, and the Smriti is the Puranas and so on. But the original 4 Vedas is called the Shruti. So Shrotriyam means one who knows the Vedic conclusion. Now, in Vaishnavism, and this was first explained by Baladev Vidyabhushan in his Prema Ratnavali, that there is a Dashamula, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, I've read many of his books, and if you examine them, they are all based on the Dasmula. So the Dasmula is the 10 primary mulas or roots that one can derive from the Vedic knowledge, and just like a root gives birth to a tree, so the 10 roots, they give birth to all the varieties of Vedic knowledge. So the Dasmula should be understood by Shrotriyam. If one is expert in the Dashamula and he has realized it by sadhana, then Brahmanishta, he becomes fixed in Brahman, Brahmanishta. Nishta means fixed. That means fixed in the Supreme, fixed in understanding Brahmatmiti, Brahman, Super Soul, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. He understands what is Brahman. He understands the three aspects of the Supreme. But he is not just Srotriyam, understanding that, but he's Brahmanishta. That means he is situated, as Krishna here says, he has Brahman vision. He is fixed in perception of the underlying Brahman support of the material energy. He is seeing that subtle support. As Krishna says, beyond me there is nothing, matak parataram nanyat. Everything is resting on me, sutre mani gana iva. So everything is resting upon Krishna. Of that there is no doubt. But few see Krishna in the material world. Few are realized in Brahman. That Krishna, as you know, manushyanam shahastreshu. Very few, many may endeavor for perfection, but yatati siddhaye, very few become perfect. So there's two levels of devotees. There's the sadhaka and the siddha. The sadhaka is the person who's practicing Vaidhi Bhakti. Within that format, he's practicing Rag Bhakti. And above that, there's Bhava Bhakti and Prem Bhakti. So the perfected soul, the siddha, has come out of sadhana. He's not a sadhaka. He is a siddha. And what is that perfection? It means that he has swarup siddhi. He has realized his swarup. He's realized his spiritual form, his relationship with the Supreme Lord. So he is siddha. What is that sloka? We always quote it many times. Jivera swarup hoy nichera krishnera nichadas. So that is perfection. To have come to Bhava Bhakti, and then through pratyahara, through more tapasya or more chanting, going to Prem. I was just reading that this morning in Bhakti Vinod's Tattva Sutras. You know, he wrote a small book called Tattva Sutras. And he explains that when you come out of sadhana from Rag Bhakti, you can enter Bhava Bhakti by increasing your pratyahara, your detachment from the material world and its emotional attachments, family, society, and so forth. You withdraw that, and from that, and you practice more sadhana, more spiritual practices, and this will give you Bhava Bhakti. Now, Bhava Bhakti is a Shakti Bhava. It means that you are actually feeling spiritual emotion, Bhava. That you're no longer just attracted, Rag Bhakti or Ruchi, you've gone above Ruchi to a Shakti, and you're feeling Bhava, you're feeling emotion towards the Supreme Lord and his pure devotees. And then he explains, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he explains that you can go from Bhava Bhakti to Prem Bhakti by the same process, pratyahara, withdrawing all attention, the material entanglements and the material energy, any material aspirations, and overcoming all anathas. So in the Jaiva Dharma, Bhakti Vinod Thakur explains what there's 4 divisions of anathas. To become nishta, anatha nivritti, nishta. Anatha nivritti means these 4 anathas, unwanted things, have been largely overcome. And those 4 are, the first one is swaswarup aprapti. It means swaswarup aprapti. One has not got a proper conception of his swarup. That does not mean that he has not attained swarup siddhi, but it means that his learning, his study, has not borne the fruit of making him understand. Jivara swarupoi nityara krishnadas, or even mama angsa jiva loke, jiva bhuta sanatana. He's not understanding properly the nature of the soul, his own soul. And he may be considering, like in the modern world, the ignorant people think, oh, the soul is your emotions, your desires, how you feel about the world. I'm a soul singer, so I sing about my girlfriend or something like that. So they think the soul is your finer, deeper emotions or something. So misconception about the soul is the first anatha. The second one is, because you don't have the proper understanding of the soul, the second one is asatrista. Asat means the illusory phenomena of this world and objects. And trista means hankering. Because you don't understand your own soul, your own true nature, you are still hankering for the material energy. You're still thinking, oh, there's some happiness in the material world. And one is hankering for that material, illusory happiness. Then the third anatha is, aparad. So one is performing, chanting bhakti sadhana, but he's committing offense. And so if you are hankering asatrista, often it is said that if you maintain attachments for material things, this is one of the offenses against the name, correct? So that means asatrista. You're still thinking, oh, the cricket scores are important, like this and so on and so forth. You still have some attachment, and you're thinking, when you're chanting, we'll beat Pakistan next time, the next cricket match. Oh, what am I doing? So this is offensive, It's not really meant to be offensive, but it is impurity of the mind is coming up. So offenses are divided into 4. First is dham aparad, second is nam aparad, third is seva aparad, and fourth is Vaishnav aparad. And they're more serious each one you go. Dham aparad, the dham is very forgiving. Everyone is welcome in the dham. Even if they don't know anything, but the dham thinks welcome to Krishna's abode. But of course we shouldn't misuse that. We should treat the dham very nicely. Generally, when you go to a holy place, you are meant to take bath, do parikram, then have darshan. But many people nowadays are coming package tours from Delhi, pay 5,000 and have 5 nights in Vrindavan. You can see them on the internet. So this kind of using Vrindavan as a kind of holiday and enjoyment, this is not the mentality of a bhakta, of devotion. You're coming to the Dham and, with an enjoying aspect. But the Dham is very forgiving. And then the next, the name is also very forgiving for the sadhaka. Even though we may be committing offenses, we should keep with our chanting and we'll become purified. Then seva aparad, that's quite serious. That means not being clean, not being punctual with service to the deity. So that should be very careful. And then even more, Bhakti-Vinod explains, is if you're offensive to the Vaishnavas, particularly if the Vaishnavas of a high status. But Bhakti-Vinod Thakur, he says, but that does not mean you can be offensive to the Madhyamadikaris or even the Kanishtadikaris. You should be very careful, because one shouldn't be judgmental. One does not know, is this a Kanishtadikari, is this a Madhyamadikari, is this a Mahabhagavat? So one should be, as Lord Chaitanya advises, amanina maninena, give respect to everyone and not one. So these are 4 offenses. These are the number 3. And then the 4th one is Hrida Abalyam. Hrida means, Abalyam means weakness of the heart. It means one is not dedicated. One is weak. One may have a good understanding of bhakti, read the Gita, gone to many classes, but I don't want to do all that. Getting up a Mangalati, becoming strict vegetarian. Well, maybe I'll eat prasadam sometimes, but I like to eat chocolate and ice cream and have a coffee. And so one is weak in one's dedication. So they're the 4 anarthas. So if one can overcome them largely, then he can become nishtha. That means fixed, like it's there, brahmanishta. It means one is fixed in one's devotion. And then one can get ruchi. The lowest stage of ruchi is that I'm enjoying chanting. I've given up sinful activity. I'm following regulative principles. I'm overcoming anarthas, and I get ruchi. So, this is so nice. I chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And I'm getting some taste. The highest stage of ruchi is that one realizes Krishna more and more in the name or in his form, in his deity. And then he thinks, I want to chant for the pleasure of Krishna. It's more purification. He's becoming seva-bhav. He's not thinking, I'm chanting for bliss. He's thinking, I want to please Krishna by my chanting. I want to please my spiritual master by my chanting. So if the sadhaka is properly instructed, he can understand that very quickly. I remember one time in the car park, a young devotee came up to me and said, I'm chanting, but no taste. I'm not, no taste. So I said, in the Gita, Krishna says, I didn't say that, but I said in another way, japa yajnanam. The japa of all yagyas, I am japa. So yajna means that which is done for the other. I'm sacrificing for you. So Vishnu yajna means I am chanting for you, Krishna. I'm not chanting for my happiness, I'm chanting for you. So that's the highest stage of ruchi. So then, once that seva bhava is there, a shakti and bhava comes very quickly. And at the stage, a shakti means attachment. Rag turns to rati. So then, after a shakti or rati, bhava comes. Now, bhava means that emotional awakening of emotion. It's the root of prem, it's the particle of prem. It means, oh, Krishna, I have When I see your darshan, when I read the Bhagavad-Gita, I feel emotion. And it's purified emotion, spiritual emotion. So the sadhaka is feeling emotions different from those he may have experienced in the material world. In the material world, we may fall in love with a girl, or we may feel happy when we listen to Tchaikovsky or something, and we think, oh, this music's great. Beethoven, boom, boom, boom. So we're feeling emotion, we're stimulated. Or a good singer, right? But the emotions of bhava are purified and they're fixed on the Supreme. And Prabhupada writes in the Nectar of Devotion that it is at this stage of bhava direct realization is attained. Because Krishna is attracted by the bhava, and the bhava reveals Krishna. And then that condenses to prem. But like I say, Bhakti Vinod says that the sadhaka, he should practice rag, attraction, through Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, the 9 practices. And then he should increase his pratyahara. Pratyahara is a word, you know from the 6th chapter, right? That is a word that's used in Ashtanga Yoga. That is yama, niyama, asana, pratyahara. Pratyahara means that you're now sitting in asana, you purified your life, yama, niyama, and now you're practicing pratyahara. We discussed it last week. Withdrawing the consciousness from the external world, fixing it within the soul, and then fixing it upon the Supreme Lord. And then realizing the presence of Krishna in the name, in his form, in his deity form. When we go to the temple, we should realize the presence of Lord Chaitanya in the murti. We should actively search for Nityananda in his deity form. We should try to see Radha and Krishna not just as shapes, but we should try to see into their relationship and their presence within the murti. They are non-different from the murti. So bhava reveals that, but we have to cultivate that perception. So that is Brahman vision. That is Brahman vision. That one, now the soul may be situated in the material body, but his consciousness through purification and practice and good instruction is seeing the presence of Krishna. It's no longer theoretical. Sutri mani gna iva. It's no longer theoretical. The person who studied the Vedas, who knows the Dashmula, has practiced sadhana in this step-by-step way, he is now fixed in his perception. And like I say, ruchi is preceding that. So once the sadhaka overcomes anartha and he's developing real ruchi, then it's very easy for him to follow regulative principles. We often find devotees, they stumble after a few years, they become fallen in following the regulative principles. We shouldn't condemn them, but we should understand that if I want to be successful, I have to follow regulative principles, then I can get rag. We cannot get attraction to the name, form, quality, lila of Krishna if we are simple, if we are aparadis, if we're asatrista, hankering for some material thing, dhanam, janam, sundarim. If we are still hankering in that way, this will not give us rag. So we should understand from the spiritual teacher what to avoid and what to not. And what to practice. Because it is said like that, but I was just reading it in Bhakti Vinod's Tattva Sutras, he said there's only two angas. That means divisions in bhakti. He says those that give remembrance of the Lord and those that take away remembrance. And he says that those 9 things, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, they are a subset of those items that give remembrance of the Lord. And because just before that, he defines what is bhakti. It's very fascinating and it's so simple. Just like Prabhupada always puts everything very clearly. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he explained, bhakti is continuous remembrance of the Supreme Lord. That he defines bhakti as that. Huh? Like we may remember Krishna somewhat when we're doing this and that, we're doing archana, we're chanting, but then we may forget Krishna. Our mind drifts off here and there. But bhakti is defined as remembrance of the Supreme Lord. And we know that, right? What's that famous? Yena tena prakarena mana Krishna niveshana. That always remember Krishna, never forget him. So that is bhakti. The positive aspect is you always remember Krishna through Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, and you never forget. You never let the anarthas or weakness in your sadhana overwhelm your practice. And then you increase your pratyahara to become more realized and move from rag bhakti to bhav bhakti and prem bhakti. And this should be understood. Often we have new bhaktas and we say, just chant Hare Krishna and everything will happen. Well, there is more. The acharyas have written pages and pages. So the guru is Shrotriyam Brahmanishta. This is somebody who's transcended the modes. And so we see here. Similarly, the soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body, though situated in the body. And then, O son of Bharat, as the soul alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. And then the final verse, those who see with the eye of knowledge, that means with the Brahman vision, with the eye of purified perception, the difference between a body and the knower of the body, can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in material nature and attain to the spiritual supreme goal. So those who see with the eye of knowledge, through Shastra, through sadhana, the difference between the body and the knower of the body. So the knower of the body, we know from the earlier texts, are two. The individual soul and the super soul. They're both the knower, Chaitra Gyan. There's two Chaitra Gyan. Chaitra is the field, the body, and there's two knowers. So if you can understand that I am the soul, and there is also the super soul, or Krishna, within me, then one with the Brahman vision, or the spiritual vision, the realized vision, no longer fixes his attention on the material body. His consciousness is withdrawn and fixed upon the supersoul. Because what is the fruit of bhakti? What is sadhana? Sadhana is really just one thing. It is learning to reciprocate with the Supreme Lord. That is the function of the soul, to perceive the Supreme Lord and enter into relationship. with the Supreme Lord. That is what everyone is doing in the spiritual world. They're perceiving, they're in the Chit Shakti, they're within the consciousness of Krishna. They're perceiving Krishna, they're perceiving the devotees of Krishna, and they're reciprocating. So that is the aim of bhakti. Not just to realize the Supreme Lord, but to enter into relationship with the Supreme Lord. So Bhava Bhakti reveals the Supreme Lord directly, and after that one enters into direct spiritual reciprocation with the Supreme Lord through Bhava. Bhava is the means of communication, that means between the Supreme Lord and the individual soul. So if one performs sadhana nicely and practices this pratyahara, and the best examples are Raghunath Das Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Krishna Das Kaviraj. They increased their austerity. Prabhupada tells many stories, right, about how Raghunath Das Goswami would just eat a little chach and so on. Sanatan Goswami used to go around Govardhan, the story is, 3 times a day. And they would eat minimal, and Prabhupada many times, he explains that a devotee should decrease his eating, sleeping, of course his mating to nil, and so on, eating, sleeping, mating, defending to the bare minimum. I'll tell you a story. When I first joined, Prabhupada was there in the temple, and everyone was ecstatic. And some of the devotees, I was like a new person in the temple, and one of the devotees, the Bhakti director, he told me, Prabhupada only sleeps 2 hours a day, you know that? And I thought, well, he's very enthusiastic and he loves Prabhupada and, he's saying this, So I didn't want to argue because I was thinking, how is that possible? But there was such an ecstatic atmosphere in the temple. I was thinking, well, if he says that, okay. And then, many years later, I was running the Hyderabad temple in the 80s.
Which year?
81. Which year? Who said that?
I heard it.
Anyway, there was nice devotees there. But one of them was Krishna Kishore, I think. He was a Prabhupada disciple. And he told me, he used to help me a lot with the management. And he told me when Prabhupada came, he used to sleep outside Prabhupada's door as a kind of sleeping chowkidar. There was no real danger or anything. And Prabhupada would go to bed at 10 o'clock. The light would go off at 10 o'clock. And then he could see under the door. The light would come on at 12 o'clock. Right? And then he'd hear Prabhupada walking in his rooms there in Hyderabad, chanting Hare Krishna for a couple of hours. Then Prabhupada would settle down and translate the Bhagavad-Gita. Every day he did that, no matter where he was translating. And I said, really? So he really only slept 2 hours? And yes, and I said, did he use an alarm clock? He said, no. He never used an alarm clock. Prabhupada used to, and he said he used to have puris and milk in the evening before he took rest. And then the light would go off at 10 o'clock and then he'd wake up at 12. And he said that sometimes, because Prabhupada was the big Swami, so some of the big people from Hyderabad would want to come and see the big Swami, big politician, council members, business people, other devotees. And he said sometimes Prabhupada would not sleep in the day because there was a lot of guests. But then Prabhupada would switch off the light at 10 o'clock after his puris and milk, and the light would come on at 12 o'clock. So he's a first-hand witness. And Mahamsa Swami was there also. So they told me all these amazing stories about Prabhupada, because Hyderabad was a nice temple, but there weren't that many devotees, so you could get a lot of association with Prabhupada. And that's how, so the 6 Goswamis, so these are the real, have to be careful how I phrase this, but this is the real standard of sannyas. This is the important point. That if we are neophyte and we take sannyas, we should be looking ways to increase our pratyahara, withdrawal, and our austerity, or else we may be distracted by sannyas duties in a societal environment. I better not go any further than that. But our standard of sannyas is Rupa Raghunatha Pade, and they reduced all their material necessities till nil. But here's Srila Prabhupada traveling all over the world, translating Bhagavatam, counseling, talking to big people, you know, the leaders of the local Hindu community, and he's just chanting. You'd think sometimes he'd be a little exhausted and take a day off. No, just 2 hours, 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, no alarm clock. And Krishna Kishore, he told me he would hear Prabhupada translating, and he'd hear the, what's that recorder called?
Dictaphone.
Pardon?
Dictaphone.
Yeah, dictaphone. He'd hear the switch. Prabhupada would say something and then he'd hear that. Then there'd be a silence. Perhaps Prabhupada was looking at the other acharyas' purports and composing, and then he'd hear that. This would go on. And then he'd have a morning walk. But sometimes, to give the complete picture, if Prabhupada had lunch, sometimes he would take half an hour nap after lunch, you know. But like I say, many days, not many, he didn't say that, but some days, big people would come and Prabhupada wouldn't sleep because they would want, and sometimes Prabhupada would eat with them. If everyone, they'd be talking during the prasadam and everything, talking to the big Swami. So this is, of course, we shouldn't artificially progress. There's another story about a devotee in Mayapur. You may have heard it. There was a devotee that wanted to, do you know the story? He made a platform, or he sat in a tree, and he said, I don't want to do anything, I just want to sit in a tree. And he would sit on the branch or some nook in the tree, and he would chant and chant and chant and chant and chant. So one day Prabhupada was going for his morning walk, and the managers, they said, Prabhupada, he won't do anything, he just sits in the tree and chants. And Prabhupada said, leave him alone, leave him alone. And then after a week or two of that, right, he came down from the tree. He couldn't maintain just living in the tree and chanting all the time. So we should not try to imitate the great Mahabhagavats and the great liberated souls. We should work progressively. You know, as they say, honesty is the best policy, and honesty about to ourselves, right? Bhaktivinoda Thakur, on this question of anathas, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in the Chaitanya Shikshamrita, he explains a devotee can make a list of all his anathas. Oh, sometimes I go to the restaurant, it's in the list. Maybe they're not offering it properly. He should make a list, and then one by one he should work on them, crossing them all off. You understand? He will make a list of anathas, keep it by his bed or his desk or whatever, and one by one, this week, no more Coca-Cola. Like this. No more ice cream, something. I'll only eat one rasamalai instead of 6. So he should make a list and work at them one by one. And he should take confidence, this is not, but we should be confident, thinking that Krishna is very merciful and that our perfection is in our sincerity. You understand? If we're sincere and we want to attain perfection, then Krishna will guide us to perfection. You understand that? And we should be very confident, right? Rupa Goswami says, right? Uchahan nishtat tat tat. That you should be very confident. I will attain perfection by the grace of Krishna. All I have to do, by the grace of Guru and Mahajan, all I have to do is be sincere and try my best, right? And Krishna will respect. There's that sloka, abhichet sudaracharo bhajate ananyama, that even if a devotee has troubles, still he should be glorified because he's properly situated. He should still be encouraged. We shouldn't be envious. Oh, he's having problems. He's not as good as me. This is the envious. You know, we should have compassion. That's the mark of a Vaishnava. So this is Brahman vision. So, and then as it is said, and I'll just read that little section before that. I think it starts so that you can get the full picture. Krishna's given all this knowledge. Yes, here it is. So Krishna is summarizing all the knowledge of the Supersoul, the body, what is Purusha, what is Prakriti. And he says, one who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present condition. So if you understand the philosophy, you're sure to attain. Some perceive the Supersoul within themselves through meditation, others through the cultivation of knowledge, and still others through working without fruitive desire. So there's 3 there, right? Meditation, cultivation of knowledge, jnana, and without a karmic idea, working without fruitive desires. But again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Now it's very interesting that Prabhupada says Supreme Person, stressing or pointing towards Bhagavan upon hearing. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. O chief of the Bharatas, know that whatever you see in existence, both moving and non-moving, is only a combination of the field of activities. This was the first question. And, Prakriti and Purusha were the first question, or Chaitra and Kirtan were third and fourth. And the knower of the field. Whatever you see. One who sees the supersoul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, and who understands that neither the soul nor the supersoul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, actually sees. So it's the same point as today's verse is number 29. If you see the soul and the supersoul, this is the Brahman vision. Generally we react to the body, right? And this body, that body, male, female, old, young, whatever. We react. But the person with Brahman vision sees there's a soul and a supersoul. There's a soul and a supersoul. One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and see that the self does nothing, actually sees. That means that the soul is desiring, but the body is worked by the devatas under the empowerment of the supersoul. When a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies, same point again, Brahman vision, and sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to the Brahman conception, the spiritual conception. So this is something for us to practice. We sit in the temple, in the tree, and instead of thinking, these are Delhi-wallahs, and these people are from Lucknow, and this one is that, we should just try to see that here are spirit souls inside the material body with the supersoul. This is employing our knowledge practically. And we should try to see, these are all Krishna's living entities accompanied by the supersoul, instead of reacting to the body. Like the people collecting funds. Hey, you, come here, buy a room. No, we have to see with the Brahman vision. O son of Bharat, as the sun, then today's verse, right? The soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body. The sun illumines the universe, so does the living entity illuminate the entire body by consciousness. Those who see with the eye of knowledge, as we said earlier, we quoted this verse, the difference between the body and the knower of the body, right? So we're going to practice. When we're in the temple, we're going to think, I'm going to see these people as Krishna's part and parcels, as souls in bodies. And we practice seeing the difference between the body and the knower of the body. That means the individual soul and Krishna. And who can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in material nature. So what is that process of liberation? It means instead of focusing on the body and my own body, the body of others, and analyzing them in terms of their body, I'm seeing their soul, then I see myself as a soul within this body, and I fix my consciousness. We did this last week, Bhuta Shuddhi, right? Take the consciousness, pratyaha, with their focus it on the Supreme Lord, can also understand the process of liberation from bondage and matter, can attain to the supreme abode, supreme goal. So if we continue to let our minds, our consciousness, just stick on this material plane, where we think, I like this person, I don't like this person. Oh, that person is from Manipur, I don't like people from Manipur. If we're reacting on the material plane, then we're stuck. We're not having Brahman vision. So by the basis of this knowledge, we should practice seeing the spirit within the body. seeing the super soul within the body. Now, we're going about, just give me 2 more minutes. Because what does Uddhava say to, Krishna say to Uddhava? This is in the 29th chapter of 11th canto. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Yes, I shall describe to you the principles of devotion to me," is instructing Uddhava, "by executing which a mortal human being will conquer unconquerable death. Always remembering me, Manmana, one should perform all his duties for me, Madhyaji, without becoming impetuous, being patient. With mind and intelligence offered to me, one should fix his mind in attraction to my devotional service. One should take shelter of holy places where my saintly devotees reside, and one should be guided by the exemplary activities of my devotees who appear among the demigods, demons, and human beings. Either alone or in public gatherings with singing, dancing, and other exhibitions of royal opulence, one should arrange to celebrate the holy days, Ekadashi, festival days, ceremonies and festivals to set especially, that is very important, Ekadashi and the holy days, appearance days, and they are very important to be observed nicely, Krishna says. Now you'll hear Krishna giving the same advice to Uddhava as Krishna is giving to Arjuna here. With a pure heart, not reacting on the bodily platform, one should see me, the Supreme Soul, within all beings, and also within oneself, to be both unblemished by anything material, does not mix with the body, and also present everywhere, both externally and internally, like the omnipresent sky, the ākāśaṁ we were talking about. Now listen to this. O brilliant Uddhava, one who thus views all living entities with the idea, I am present within each of them, and who by taking shelter of this divine knowledge, like I say, this is divine knowledge, we have to practice it, offers due respect to everyone, is considered actually wise. If you see the soul and the super soul within then you are actually wise. Such a person sees equally the Brahmana and the outcast, the thief and the charitable promoter of Brahminical culture, the sun and the tiny sparks of fire, the gentle and the cruel. Now this is the point. For him who constantly meditates on my presence, within all persons the bad tendency of rivalry, envy, matsarya, and abusiveness, along with false ego, are very quickly destroyed. Right? That's false ego, envy, rivalry. These things are very quickly, if you practice seeing these people are temples of the Supreme Lord, they are residences of the soul. Disregarding the ridicule of one companion, one should give up the bodily conception and its accompanying embarrassment. One should offer obeisances before all. Just like Prabhu came in and offered his obeisances. So this is the sadhu, mam namaskuru. When we pay obeisances, we are worshipping the super soul as well as the individual soul. Even the dogs, outcasts, cows and asses, falling flat upon the ground like a rod. So you can pay your obeisances to the dogs, but don't do it to the monkeys with your glasses on. Now listen to this. Until one has fully developed the ability to see me within all living beings, one must continue to worship me by this process, with the activities of speech, mind, and body. Indeed, now this is the conclusion, I consider this process, using one's mind, words, and bodily functions for realizing me within all living beings, to be the best possible method of spiritual enlightenment. That's what Krishna says. Seeing me and the soul within the body of even the camel, asses, and whatever, dogs, outcasts, whatever, seeing me within all living entities to be the best possible method of spiritual enlightenment. Now that's Krishna. Because I've personally established it, my dear Uddhava, this process of devotional service unto me is transcendental and free from any material motivation. Certainly a devotee never suffers even the slightest loss by adopting this process. And then Krishna goes on. Well, this is the point. So if you want to know the best process of spiritual realization and realizing Krishna, now you know it. What is it? Tell us. Seeing me. Yeah. Seeing the living entity and Krishna within everybody's soul. Seeing on that Brahmanishta platform, that Brahman vision. Seeing in that way. Not seeing, oh, this person, that person, this. No, not reacting. That's what the materialists are doing, is it not? But one who is actually wise sees the soul. Isn't that wonderful? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.